This is the please. This is the first. This is the first frame of this video. Oh damn! I gotta slide it over here. This is the first frame of this, and if anything sums up Greg Kelly's life while Biden is president, this is it. Look at this. Like he is so losing his shit right out of the gate. Like we all know Greg Kelly has anger management issues. The one upside is he's completely incapable of carrying out any of his anger in any meaningful way. He's just kind of a snipey, petty dude. No one has anything to fear from him. He's not gonna, honest to God, like there are a few men in the world where I'm just like, nah, not a threat, and he's one of them. Like of all people, like if you, because many of you know this, when I go into public places and I'm on a train or something like that, I do a shoe check. Do you guys know this? Maybe some of you may know this. I do a shoe check because if there's going to be a mass shooter moment or an act of craziness or some asshole is going to act a fool, one of the big telltale signs that they left the house with that plan is going to be their shoes. They're either going to have on combat boots or hiking boots or some sort of like hikey shoe at the most. If they've got on sneakers that cost a lot of money, they don't want to die that day. If they've got on, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but it's a general. If they have on flip flops, I'm not worried unless they also have on a karate gi. I have nothing to worry about. You look at people's shoes, and you can tell when you just do it when you're in public and you're in a situation, you're like in a Starbucks or something. Just scan around and look at the shoes everybody's wearing, and say to yourself, if I was gonna fuck people up today, if I was gonna go off the reservation and like a lunatic and harm people, are those the shoes I would be wearing? And so at least you can avoid some of the people who are preparing to lose their mind, right? There's always a chance somebody will break out and then other factors come in. But that's one of the ways you can start eliminating people right away. It's not that you're going to find necessarily the person who's going to do it, but you can certainly go, nah, that dude's not a problem. There's a bunch of those folks, that when I see them, it's like a dude with loafers with no socks. There's just, frankly, there is no way that guy's a problem. Like, for me, anyways. I mean, I'm sure he could, almost anybody can find somebody smaller and weaker than them that they can carry someone. But if somebody walks in and, unless it's Conor McGregor and he's wearing a tailored suit, I'm not worried about that dude. And if it is Conor McGregor wearing, loafers with no shoes, he's talking shit the entire time. So I don't even have to do the shoe check. I'm like, that guy's mouthy. Something's going sideways. Yeah. Combat boots say you're ready. Absolutely. So that's kind of the point. And you can kind of, I've been in foreign countries when I'm on a train or I'm on a planes aren't a problem because most people don't fuck around in an airport. It's hard. You can't get past. And I'm not really worried about it. If they flip out, you can put them down. But like it's the potentially armed folks or knifed, people carrying knives or any kind of shit like that you're kind of like, all right, I'm in a New York subway. I don't have any illusions. There are enough people in the world that there could be a crazy and this could be the day. And so you kind of just do a scan, right? Shoes are the big scan. And then I can eliminate people based on other stuff. Like if you have a lot of tattoos, in general, I'm not worried about you. Unless it's a big, like Nazi one across your neck. Like it used to be a thing where if you saw somebody with neck tattoos, they were like fresh from the big house and you had to worry about that asshole. But now, people can have tattoos all over their body. And the thing about people with a lot of tattoos is, unless they're all over their forehead and they're just gone, and unless they're a high-level rapper that you immediately recognize, some people get so many that you're like, that person doesn't care if they live or die. They're basically taking a Sharpie to their forehead. But anybody else who has a lot of tattoos, especially if they're very nice, doesn't want to ruin their body by getting it fucked up in a fight or dying. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in an airport and somebody in front of me in line, going through security, has a lot of tattoos, I'm like, this asshole is not going to crash the plane. Some dude, with a briefcase shivering, that he might try to, bum rush the cockpit back when that was possible. But the dude with tattoos isn't going to do it. He wants to get where he's going so he can have some sex. Right? So that's the oh, thanks, Shadow Woman. It is pretty good. I've kind of, your hair shifts in length and it does stuff, so you find a technique, and then of course right when you get it locked, it gets a little longer and drapes differently. So it's a constant struggle. Did you hear one of Trump people got arrested? Oh, many people. Yes. Well, beyond, of course, Barack, the guy who ran his inauguration. That's going to be fun. But I'm looking for discovery on that. I want that asshole to roll. That's going to be fun. Henna tattoos like Madonna got. Even still, I'm not worried about a yoga instructor kicking my ass. I just am not. Not that yoga instructors can't kick ass. It's just that I'm not going to have a problem with a yoga instructor in general. See what I mean? You have to do threat assessment when you're out in public. It's a smart move. But when it comes to Greg Kelly, he could walk in full combat fatigues. And I'm not worried. Dude could be an open carry advocate walking in with an AR-15 and all this stuff. And I'm like, nah, neutered asshole. Nothing's going to happen. And he had military training. He was in the military. He was a pilot. So he's been through shit and all that stuff. But, I mean, he's not going to private pile anybody. He's just going to be like, okay. Honestly. So Greg Kelly is one of those, if he was a liberal, all the Republicans and stuff would be calling him a beta every day of his life. Right? I got all my tats in prison. See, those are quality ones. You don't want to go back, do you? So you're not going to pick shit on a train or something that isn't necessary. Right? A Yoda instructor would. Yes, Yoda instructor is very different. All right. So this is this one's Greg Kelly. Define misinformation. It's the name of this one. Define misinformation. Well, misinformation is you're wrong. Disinformation is you're wrong on purpose. If someone is misinformed, they missed. The information train went by, and you were like, fuck, I was sitting here, and I was on my phone, and I missed my train of information. Disinformation is what Newsmax does. So just to clarify, that's why he's attacking misinformation, not disinformation as a thing. Because the day Greg Kelly starts attacking disinformation, he's kicking food out of his kid's mouth. I mean, what do you think the Newsmax mission statement is? Okay, here we go.
Joe, you're about to see one of the many reasons why the White House staff is terrified when Joe goes off script and just talks.
Yeah, because he might say things like, I think gay people should be allowed to get married. Or he's going to shit on Facebook for misinformation. By the way, this we were talking about feature not a bug on Stuttering John's show. When Trump does this stuff, feature not a bug. When Biden does it, bug not a feature. That if you are looking for a standardized view of Newsmax that encapsulates their entire mental picture, their POV on life, that's it.
Misinformation. What's your message to platforms like Facebook?
They're killing people. I mean, look, the only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated. And they're killing people.
Wow.
Yeah. The misinformation that's coming out, people are dying from this. But by the way, again, if Trump said something like this about a social media network he'd been kicked off of, we would not be able to see Greg Kelly's face because of the biggest and only hard-on he's ever had.
I mean, they're killing people?
Yeah, people are dying because of it. They're not murdering them. It's, I mean, you have to understand the concept of analogy, but it's almost like, it's like if somebody went, he's an asshole in a suit who has a bunch of buildings behind him. And you went, he's got a bunch of buildings behind him? Like, yeah, we know they're not real buildings. We know it's video you're putting behind you. But you get the point.
Go easy, Joe. Facebook helped you get elected.
No. They helped Trump get elected, and then they stopped helping him get elected. It has nothing to do with Biden.
And you know what? He says Facebook is killing people. Think about Donald Trump. Hey.
Yes, I'm thinking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump personally got people killed with his hydroxychloroquine bullshit and his you don't need masks and it's the vaccine. You know, you have I don't know if you should take it. If it's up to you.
He only said the media were the enemy of the people. He never accused them of killing anybody.
According to Section 230, Facebook is not the media, and you agree with that.
Well, of course, Joe went too far, and today he had to walk it back.
Facebook isn't killing people. These 12 people are out there giving misinformation.
Right. Yeah, we understood that's what he meant.
Anyone listening to it is getting hurt by it. It's killing people. It's bad information. My hope is that Facebook, instead of taking it personally that somehow I'm saying Facebook is killing people, that they would do something about the misinformation.
And by the way, that whole exchange got this whole conversation to the level where the news paid attention to it. If he'd have just said, there's a bunch of accounts on Facebook that are getting people killed, honest to God, it wouldn't have even tracked. It would have been on, you know, like Joy Reid and Chris Hayes would have covered it. That's it. And you know how, like, Trump has this thing where he gets in trouble, and so he just goes and tweets, like when he was president. Remember that a long time ago? He would tweet something that was just like shitty, and that would eat the news cycle and distract away from the problem that he actually had. There's a way to use that for good. And one of it is to just go out and say your piece in a way that people go, what? Now, you can believe this is strategy or it's just Biden clarifying, but both work.
There goes Facebook again, taking it personally. I mean, after all, Joe did say they're killing people.
Well, the people with the misinformation. That's if you understand, he's talking about the question, not just about Facebook. He's talking about the actual misinformation. He did clarify what he was saying based on the question. He didn't play the whole question, but.
Again, I think actually it's cozier than it looks between Joe and big tech.
Yeah, it kind of eats your talking point, doesn't it?
But remember this, as far as misinformation.
That's actually what I call you.
The only people who can put out misinformation are Democrats and the media, especially during an election year.
Let's just say
what?
there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us.
If and when the vaccine comes. It's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
Whoa. Why are you not finished? Greg, are you trying to be Sean Hannity again?
We finally do, God willing, get a vaccine. Who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
But if Donald Trump
Did you finish that thought
tells
too?
us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Yeah, by himself. If the scientists go, we're not sure yet, but Trump is like, everybody get a shot. Of course not. That's what they were talking about. That's that whole exchange.
Well, she did take it under Donald Trump. She did before she became vice president during the transition.
So you're saying there was a transition. What's with the fucking Lindsey Graham tongue flap thing? Are there dates on these? These were during the debates. One was in the fall. Some of it was early. They're cutting him out of context. It's what he does. That's why I play on my show the whole fucking segment. I don't grab a chunk of Greg Kelly, like a half a sentence, where he makes context whenever, if and when he does. He doesn't anyway. I don't just snipe that part of it off. That's why half the time when we're showing these things, I expect some sort of like follow-up, and then I'm like, wait, that's the end of the clip? Like, we've done a bunch of like Don Jr. ones and Greg Kelly ones where this is where Newsmax chooses to end the clip, and I'm like, that makes you guys look like shit. You might want to fill out the level 5 hype train. What's happening? It's hot in here. I'm sweaty. Level 5 hype train. Level 5 hype train. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Everybody, twitch.tv/HalSparks. Don't forget to sign up. Subscribe. Don't just follow. And then share it around the webs. Okay, here we go. And go tell your the other Twitchers you watch. Is that the term? It's like Quakers, right? Tell them to raid my channel when they're done. If they're on before I am. By the way, A couple days ago, we had more viewers than TYT's live stream. I'm just saying. And I'm not asking for $2 million a month. I'm just trying to get to 1,000 patrons and have some bits.
Sounds awfully political. All of them. Were they listening to the scientists?
Hi, awfully political. Hey, asshole, they were making the point that Trump was politicizing it and that they were going to go with the science, not with Trump saying it, because he was politicizing it. Oh, God, Greg, you're dumb.
Anyway, now
good way to, nice bail on.
Now they're in power. And now.
What? Wait a minute. Greg, do you even cue, bro? What do you mean they're in power? Excuse me. Mike Pillow is having a cyber symposium in like 3 fucking weeks in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right between the legs of the 900-foot Jesus that Oral Roberts saw when he needed $1 million, and you're telling me that they're in power? They are not. That's her clone. She's already been arrested. Keep up.
Now they're being very, very careful with the information. What they label misinformation, disinformation, really basically.
You mean now that they actually are the president and vice president, they are speaking like they're speaking presidentially and vice presidentially? Is that a thing? I think it should be.
Whatever they say is legit. If anybody else says it, it's misinformation.
Modern technology companies have enabled misinformation to poison our information environment with
true.
little accountability to their users.
From the White House podium, this guy, Barack Obama's Surgeon General, now Joe Biden, formerly his aide during the campaign, talking
So suspect.
about
And looks really not German.
how families use social media can fight misinformation. Take a look at this mission statement. It's on a government website right now. We all.
Oh, if it's the U.S. government, I'm not believing it. What has America ever done for the world? If the American government, which is a representative of the people of the country, says do something, I mean, I'm finally Greg Kelly has the balls to side with the mullahs in Iran. Good for you, Greg. I'm urging all Americans to help slow the spread of health misinformation during COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. Health misinformation is a serious threat to public health. It can cause confusion, sow mistrust, harm people's health, and undermine public health efforts. Limiting the spread of health misinformation is a moral and civic imperative that will require a whole of society effort. Yeah. Urging. See the word urging up there? This is where Republicans have a problem with consent and the concept of consent, being asked to do something versus being forced to do something, because the Republicans have this ABBA logic problem with when it comes to consent. Because if they say that someone, a letter urging you to do something is the same as force, then when they force themselves on you, it's really just their urges.
all have to work against misinformation. But this is a very political guy. Very, very political. Take a look.
I know it's not typical for a former Surgeon General to speak at a convention. Surgeons General are appointed by presidents, but our work isn't about politics. Our highest duty is to the public.
Right. He fortifies the bipartisanship bona fides in those circumstances, I would
Our true guide is science, and our job is to speak the truth about public health, even when it's controversial or perceived as political.
Murthy has been chock full of misinformation. That's the Newsmax headline. I'm sure that Greg Kelly will explain this to us, like how, instead of just asserting this like it's some sort of, hypnotic statement that they want people to go, I don't know, I just feel like I came away watching that segment that Murthy's chock full of misinformation. Do you feel that too?
Perceived as political. It's not really political. I'm just perceiving it as political. There he is at the DNC. And, well...
Yeah, the idea is that medical science had become politicized during that. I'm sorry, Greg. You're a young dude. Were you alive in August of 2020?
Here he is during the campaign, undermining President Trump every step of the way. Now, why was he doing this?
Oh, he did it. Hey, thanks, Murthy, for saving us all from Trump. If you hadn't undermined him at every step of the way, which I thought was Fauci's job.
The president suggested we could see that successful vaccine by election day, that it wouldn't hurt his chances against Joe Biden. Now, you're the former Surgeon General. What's your reaction to that kind of projection and the apparent politicization of such an important...
I don't blame Wolf Blitzer. Politicization is a very difficult word to say without it seeming like your tongue's going to slip out of your face.
issue?
Well, thanks, Wolf. It's good to be with you today. I think when it comes to a vaccine, all of us are hoping that we will get a vaccine that's safe and
Fucking liberals. All of us are hoping there's a vaccine coming. Come on.
effective as soon as possible. But I think it's very dangerous at this point to give specific dates.
That was
Yeah, it is. That was Murthy undermining Trump every step of the way because Trump gave a date. What? Does anyone know what the fuck Greg is on about?
in August of last year. He is saying it is dangerous that the president was hoping, urging to get a vaccine as soon as possible, maybe even before the election. And you know what? He came pretty darn close. This guy is calling that dangerous. And here he is pretending he's not political.
Greg, you're so upset. I swear to God, I have to believe there are better clips of Murthy speaking to make Greg's point. Even if everything he's saying about Murthy is a lie, and it is, even in that context, you can't. The way this asshole snips statements and edits things to change context so willfully on his program, Greg, you can't do better than that. Saying it's dangerous to set a date. We have to focus on masks and all they gotta. They're in the middle of that conversation. We're having another spike. There were 100,000 people died in like 6 weeks. But Greg wasn't born yet.
One more.
We have seen at times people like Tony Fauci and Dr. Redfield stood up and made important points about masks that have been then contradicted by the president. And the challenge is that we need more people to be doing that, and we need people to be doing that more consistently. This is a very unusual situation where we have seen a divergence, a sustained and disturbing divergence between what scientists are saying and what politicians are saying.
Well, you mentioned Dr. Fauci, and yes,
he's gonna. Here comes Greg. You're gonna do it, man. That was just a reasonable statement and a concern that normal scientific thought was being politicized. We all watched it happen. We were all there September 20th, 2020. I mean, Herman Cain wasn't. When did he die? That was later. But most of us were there. That was 5 days before my birthday last year. Hi.
there were differences between him and Donald Trump. We saw it. And we also saw Dr. Fauci being wrong and contradicting himself. And
how?
Not following his own guidelines, huh?
He's outside.
Right there.
He's outside with other people who've been vaccinated.
Never forget this image. I'll never forget when he said, "Don't wear masks." And then
he didn't say, "Don't wear masks." Play the video, asshole. He's talking about early emails in the pandemic. And by the way, we've had scientific tests between them. Science has moved forward on the mask debate, and there was a pin put in it in June of last year, June 9th. All that, like, any vacillation about, well, we don't know whether it actually helps or hurts or what's the deal. We now know. Not only does it help, but when you are exposed and were it to get into you anyways, it lowers the viral load and raises your chance of surviving the disease. Of course it fucking works, dumbass.
when he said, "Wear 3 masks," he's been all over the place. It is acceptable.
No, he hasn't. He's only all over the place because you want to jump forwards and backwards in literal time, right? let me take what you said before the surprise party, what you said during the surprise party, and what you said after the surprise party, and then I'll reverse them, and you knew about the surprise party the whole time.
Perfectly acceptable for us. We're adults to talk about this stuff without somebody like him
Citation needed.
minding our Facebook posts.
He's not minding your Facebook posts.
Because he's wrong a lot. Fauci, yes, but this Surgeon General fellow.
Yeah, it's hard to mix them up. Everybody's wrong. You're right, Craig. Tell him.
Even in an optimistic scenario, it would likely be closer to mid 2021 that we would see vaccines starting to be distributed at scale.
At scale. At scale. That is precisely the timing. We are at scale now, midway through. Beat it by a couple of months.
And if we think about how long it would take for that vaccine to actually make it to everyone in the population.
To everyone in the population.
We would need to, the question is there a chance we could do this all and vaccinate 70% of the population?
70% of the population. I'm getting a feeling that you and I are hearing things in this clip that Greg Kelly is going to miss entirely.
By the end of 2021. I think it would take the best vaccination campaign that we've ever assembled in the history of the world to do that. Could it be done? Well, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, and what's the missing link, Greg? We're there. We're so close. We were so close to 70% by midway through 2021. What's the holdout, Greg? What's the thing that kept that goal from being met? That would have made Murthy would have made him wrong? What was the thing? Who made this clip from him actually correct? Newsmax viewers. That's right, Greg. It's because of your fucking viewers and Trump's followers that we did not meet the 70% vaccination level. It's not even, nobody even questions that at this point. It's clear. It's obvious. You're fighting for it. But I'm sure that's what he'll bring up. Please, Greg, explain to us all that just saw him say, the best we can look for is, midway through 2021 or by the end of 2021, if we could reach 70%, that would take the biggest, vaccine outreach program in history. And of course, that's what we've been attempting during this entire thing. And the one holdup is the Trump voter. But I'm sure I'm going to be wrong. Everything I said is going to be wrong based on what Greg Kelly says next. I'm willing to quit.
He was a doubter. He was a naysayer. And guess what? We got the vaccine to scale way before the middle of this year. Way before.
And yet, even though we had it to scale, Greg, what was the thing that kept us from getting to 70%? It's not availability. It's not the fact that it's free. It's not that there are multiple versions to choose from. It's not that there's a version that you have to keep at, black hole freezing temperatures versus a version you can keep in a beer fridge, and you can take those out to the middle of nowhere so that rednecks everywhere can get their single J&J. It's not because of that. We've got it. We can get it to you. Hans, Booby, I can give it to you. It's not that, is it? What is it, Greg? What was the thing that fucked up the whole thing? Here's a hint. Your viewers.
Before the middle of this year. We're adults in this country. We can handle it. We can discuss things. Doctors, scientists often disagree with each other, right? This is America. You can get a second opinion.
Yeah, get a second opinion, and your second doctor will tell you to get the goddamn vaccine right now. And you'll go, excuse me, my second opinions come from Facebook, okay?
That's okay. But this man, as political as they come, is urging social media to monitor our posts.
No, he's urging us to not spread vaccine misinformation. Did you look? I know you got shit in your ears, but can you not even read the post they put? Greg, do you look at any of this shit beforehand? This is amazing. Greg, you just decide on your narrative and then play the clips? Is that? I mean, it would work. I mean, obviously you could accuse me of the same, but then I would have to cut around your shit and not show everything that you say in the entire segment that you yourself put out as an example of your thought. This clip is 9 minutes and 52 seconds long, and I'll play every sour second of it. You dipshit. Greg.
They're really doing this, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, wacky, I'd even say.
Especially when advice comes down like this, because I think this is debatable. Take a look at this headline, if you would, from the American Academy of Pediatrics.
So you think this is debatable? The American Academy of Pediatrics is suggesting all students older than 2 years old and all school staff should wear face masks at school unless medical or developmental conditions prohibit use. This is their best case scenario. Debatable whether to carry it out? Sure. But the American Academy of Pediatrics are looking at the stats. They're looking at the dangers to children. They're looking at it and they're going, yeah, this is something to worry about.
All students older than 2 years and all school staff should wear face masks at school unless medical or developmental conditions prohibit use. Now,
I'm going to guess there's more to this since 12 and older now can get vaccinated.
These are the latest guidelines from the AAP, CDC, not yet saying it, but who knows? This is
This is from the AAP. The CDC not yet saying it, but who knows? Let's just assume.
Debatable.
Dude, you can't step on your own foot when you're trying to dance.
Have a conversation about that. And I'm allowed to raise questions about this on text messaging and on Facebook.
Yeah. Yes, you are. You're allowed to question whether or not there's efficacy to it, whether it's practicable, whether it'll actually work, and all that kind of stuff. But you're not... it is not the same thing when you say that, fuck it, just a couple of drops of oleander in your kid's eyeballs every morning, that'll protect them from, anything that ails them. That's the problem, dumb fuck.
We shouldn't be canceled or monitored or have our followers limited, and that's happened before.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yes, remember when they broomed the bots that Trump paid good money for?
Hunter Biden. It was a bombshell of a story. Remember this?
Who gets to define misinformation? Was it? Because that looks like a guy's, picture from his phone. Now, I know Russians can't hack a phone. I know they don't have the technology to do that yet. And they certainly don't have the ability to hack a phone, take pictures from it, put it on a hard drive, and then put other stuff from a hard drive, and then concoct other stuff, or make deep fakes and mix them with real and fake pictures. To kind of, I know they don't have that capability yet, but one day they could, so we should stay on our toes.
Yeah, there he is.
Yes, I know. This is the view you wish you had of Hunter Biden. We get it, Greg.
The laptop, that's a real story.
Yeah, it's a real story. So is the three Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Abel's Island, one of my favorite stories as a child. Green Eggs and Ham. That's a real story. It's not a real event. It's not a real thing, but it's a real story. Nice disinfo word use there, Greg, in the middle of your misinfo segment. I see. I saw what you did there. Good for you. Yes, Rapunzel is a real story.
And it has not been debunked. And when
yes, it has. Well, I mean, I have thoroughly multiple times. Here's what it hasn't been. It hasn't been proven in any way. And even Hunter Biden saying one of his laptops could have been stolen, he has no idea. He might have had an old laptop somebody took somewhere, but that doesn't mean that everything on it isn't put there and that it isn't, like, what kind of an asshole doesn't say that? I'm like, well, we've covered this before.
The New York Post came out with an incredible series about the Biden secret.
Yeah, if only Comey had held this up. Revealed Ukrainian exec thanked Hunter Biden for opportunity to meet Veep Dad. Biden's secret emails. Yeah, I mean, I look. Few of us question when the Weekly World News puts Bat Boy on the screen. Why are people afraid? Maybe we could have headed things off at the Wuhan lab had we been able to speak more freely about Bat Boy.
Secret emails. What did big tech do? They called it misinformation.
It is.
And they silenced it.
No, they did not silence it. The New York Post still came out. The New York Post could still sell its newspaper. It had an online version of it. It could send emails out to everybody. The RNC could send emails about, have you seen this week's New York Post? They just didn't carry water for a Russian disinfo campaign. That's why. That's just in case you're wondering.
They limited it.
They limited or eliminated?
They called it misinformation, and they silenced it. They limited it.
Eliminated it? Limited it? Limited it?
I'll never get over that.
Yeah, I know. It's quite frankly the silver lining to this whole Hunter Biden laptop bullshit cloud is the fact that I know, we all know in the chat room, that you, Greg Kelly, will never get over the fact that you were never able to play a functional part in lifting Russian disinfo to the level where it wrecked the American election. Boo fuckity who.
Big tech was working against Donald Trump. The media.
No, they just weren't working for Donald Trump. It's an important distinction. You could argue in 2016 they were because Facebook was getting paid in rubles.
Yeah, everybody. Behind the scenes on their computers with their codes and sometimes right out in the open. And it seemed like nobody could do anything about it.
Yeah, it's almost like the RNC couldn't email every Republican in the country, that they couldn't share it with their friends, they couldn't get Sinclair Media to carry it.
Like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he given tens of millions of dollars?
But he wasn't given tens of millions of dollars. That is totally discredited.
We've already been
totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial subjects. Well, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a judgment call here.
Yeah, Chris Wallace, it had to be Fox. It had to be Fox.
$3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow.
He didn't get $3.5 million from. Oh, there you go. It's fact check. There's no evidence Biden intervened in Ukraine to halt criminal investigation into Burisma, which is true. And of course, Hunter Biden did not get the money. Rosemont Seneca got $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife, who turned him in, the mayor of Moscow, by the way. And Giuliani's actually on her side because her ex-husband was a crook. And she was basically going, fuck, I have to get my money out of this country because these assholes are going to snuff me once I turn on him. And she sent the money to Rosemont Seneca's German whatever group. And then they invested it on their behalf, which was their job.
Let's talk about not true. That report is totally discredited. Mitt Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money, that report. It was written for political reasons.
I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
And they did. They switched topics.
How dare they talk about climate change? Talk about misinformation. Yes, the climate is changing, but it's not our fault. It's not... humans didn't cause it. God has the sky in his hands. And there's never been a situation where humans have fucked up their environment so bad they had to move. Ever.
Hunter Biden, alleged corruption, unbelievably scandalous emails.
Yeah, they are not believable. The scandalous emails are not believable. I agree, Greg.
Censored by big tech and censored by Wallace.
Fox. Et tu, Fox, eh?
Amazing.
It is amazing. Yeah. Trump could have been president. Yeah. He could have kept doing what he was doing, and we'd have another 600,000 dead, But dreams die hard, Greg.
Amazing. They're not going to censor me.
Yeah, that's true, Greg, because sort of on a couple levels, you and I are in the same boat. Nobody gives a fuck. No one cares what you think, Greg. At least I'm funny. No one gives a shit what Greg Kelly thinks. Not really. I mean, they want to hear him parrot certain things, but they only care in so much as he's saying what they're supposed to hear. That's what Newsmax functions as. If it was somebody else, they would, yeah, okay, what time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Time for my download of Trump Kool-Aid. They don't give a shit. What's the Greg Kelly take on this? How is Greg Kelly gonna handle this with his depth of knowledge about wonky political bills? Fucking no one.
They're trying. They're trying in big ways and small.
Yeah, small ways. Mostly small ways or whatever. Like they made you forget your password on Grindr.
Are you up for the fight?
Greg, buddy, you're not up for the fight. Let the adults work on adult issues. Don't. I mean, you're gonna end up stepping on a rake. It's bad.
I am.
You just watched news.
I am, and then cut. That was their cut. Are you up for the fight? I am. Well, I'm not really. Fuck shit. I can't even. Oh God. Yeah, Greg Kelly, the new E.F. Hutton. Yeah, they're everybody at a restaurant in New York City when Greg Kelly talks, everybody's like, at least Newsmax has the decency to do their subscribe to our channel posts as full screen things instead of putting Brian Kilmeade in a corner